Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Back in the workshop again. Now, what we're going to look at in this video, well, you know by the title what we're looking at, but we haven't touched Ewan's Farmyard for over 2 years. The last time we touched it was for the video that's up here, and we were doing the fuselage. That was even in the old house. The reason why it stopped was that lots of other things happened, but at the point at which we stopped, we couldn't do any more on the fuselage until we had wings. That'll become more apparent as we go forwards as to why, but we need the wings built so we can fit them to the fuselage and then fit other things to the fuselage once the wings are in place. So we're going to start building some wings. I don't know how well you'll be able to see, but the first part of the wing build is getting the what do I call these? Shear webs joined together, because they're basically a two-part assembly. Both the main spar shear webs and the trailing spars and shear webs. It'd be quite difficult for me to put together one-handed, but it basically fits something like that. Oh, you have to excuse me, I've got an itchy nose. Oh.
And something like that.
Yeah, so they join up together quite neatly, and that is basically the wingspan, or one half of the wing. So it's going to be a good sized wing. So yeah, we've got to glue these up, let them dry overnight before we can do anything really more constructive. Now the one thing I would say is this airplane hasn't got any instructions, because it should be that simple to build that any idiot can do it. So it might be a case of gluing it together and doing some figuring out, lots of dry fitting, and figuring out what has to go where and how and whatnot before we actually glue anything. So yeah, we're going to make a start on this, get these glued up. I suspect the next part will be tomorrow morning. It's like 12 hours away, but seconds for you, where we find these all dried up nicely and we can start dry fitting some things together. So it is the next day. All the shear webs have been glued up. They've come out alright, I think. We've been having a look at a dry assembly and trying to figure out how things are going to go together. This is a single servo aileron, so you've got a servo plate in here. This is ribs 6 and 7, so it's going to sit there on that shear web. The orientation isn't right here just now, but what we think is going to be best to do, possibly, is actually glue the bottom spar to the shear web before we try and get the ribs on. There's a very slight bend to the shear web, and the spar is going to keep it all square, straight and true. And then in turn that's going to allow us to build a squarer and straighter wing as and when we put the ribs onto it. So I think we're going to see about gluing up the bottom spars onto both the main shear webs, then let them go off. I have got a question that I need to speak to Steve about, Steve being the designer of this airplane. As to where the ailerons get cut back to. I don't know how well you're able to see, but all the ribs have got the trailing edge cut into the rib. I'm not sure which ribs have the ailerons cut out of them, or where the ribs are cut to form that aileron. I don't know if this trailing edge or sub-spars here if they form the aileron, or if it's cut further back. I need to ask him the question. So we're going to get these spars glued on, so they're gluing and drying, and again that'll be tomorrow before we can do any more of that, but it'll then give me time to send a message and ask the questions. So we're getting on with that just now. So it is actually now a couple of days, maybe a bit longer, since that last little bit of footage. The bottom spars Ewan has glued on to the shear webs. We have made a left and a right hand. That is one thing I'm always aware of. whenever doing something that is handed, make sure, triple check that you're doing one of each.
Did you happen to not check it before? And then...
A few times I've made that mistake, yeah. Made like 2 left-hand fuselage sides and whatnot. But anyway, we have got a left and a right hand. So the task now is going to be to dry fit everything onto one wing panel. We haven't really got the space to build 2 in one go. So what Ian's got to do is he's got to take each rib and make sure that it fits, one-handed, make sure it fits into the slot and it's flush with the bottom and flush with the top. So it might need a little bit of a sand out in the notch, and then once we've got them all fitting nicely, we're then going to check the top spar to make sure that's the same, literally by just sitting it in. And then once it's dry fitted, we might see about gluing some stuff together, but we'll come back to that in a bit. So as you would have seen, you just spent a while there going through all the ribs, making sure they're a nice snug fit where they should be. It's starting to get a bit bigger as well, isn't it? Starting to realise the size of it. Especially as there's a big tip to go on there as well. Do you want to grab the tip out of there? So yeah, this is all just dry fitted just now. The only thing that's glued, as you've seen before, is the spar to the web. Everything else is still loose, but it's still a nice snug fit. He's even been through and checked the rear spars to make sure they fit, and they do.
I've checked the top, not the bottom.
Well, I checked the bottom should be fine.
Right, I checked the top.
Yeah. So we've got a tip on there just now. I don't know how well you'll be able to see. So it's quite a good size wing. That's the panel, just one side. The only thing that's missing out of here, dry fit just now, is the servo mount, and that goes in there. So the next stage really is going to be jigging this up in such a way that we can keep the ribs square to the wing, to keep the wing itself square. And then probably glue I'm just thinking about this. Yeah, probably glue the servo tray into these two ribs and get them all square and true, and then glue them into the bottom spar and shear web, and probably have a packing piece at the back somewhere to keep everything nice and square and true, and then work from this point out and in, make sure the ribs are square, possibly even have the rear shear web in place to help keep them square. That might work.
See how you were talking about with this to have a backing piece.
Yeah.
See how you're also talking about using a type of hinges. Could you use the backing piece and the hinges bit of wood as the same bit?
No, what I'm going to do is just have like a piece of trailing edge or something, just an angle piece, just to lift it up so it sits.
Oh, I thought you were talking about...
No, I'm talking about the whole wing.
Yeah.
Keep, so we keep this shear web vertical, we just have something at the back of it, so we don't build a twist into the wing. That's the idea anyway.
I thought you were talking about like a strengthening bit.
Well, we might have that, I don't know yet, but all I'm looking at the minute is trying to get this built square and true. So instead of as it's sitting like that just now, have it like that. Yeah? So that's the general plan, but that'll probably be coming in the next video. We've got a few other bits and pieces to do today, so we'll probably leave this till tomorrow to start sorting out. But finally the build's coming along. Ewan has been asked in a roundabout way if he's going to be able to have it flying for a show next year, so that's another reason to get it progressed and moving on. But yeah, that'll probably be tomorrow before we can do much more on that. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you're not already, down in the corner down there's a subscribe to the channel. We have, at the time of filming, cracked 900 subscribers, which is amazing. There's 900 odd people. No, there's not 900 odd people. There's 900 odd viewers that subscribe to this channel. If you're like me, you probably are a bit odd, but yeah, I can't get my head around why so many people have subscribed to the channel. If you're liking these sorts of videos, give us a thumbs up down in the corner as well, or somewhere. Any comments, put them below. Any questions, pose them. We'll answer them as soon as we can. If you don't recognise what we're doing in this build, and if I haven't mentioned it already, up in this corner I'll put a link to the previous parts to this video, and that will create a full playlist. The giveaway is still going ahead. If you don't know what I'm on about, when we get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm giving away a kit, either the blob or a thing, whether it be glider or power. Nothing distracting at all going on there. So yeah, as soon as we get to 1,000 subscribers, I'll put out details of that giveaway, and it is just that, it's a giveaway as a thank you. But yeah, until next time, from myself and Ewan, we'll see you again.